нормативным документам, проверили себя и убедились в том, что должен был быть внешний фактор. Когда мы назначали сегодняшнюю пресс-конференцию, у нас была другая повестка дня. Мы хотели рассказать, как горько мы прожили эти 3 дня. На самом деле эти 3 дня были для нас, не знаю, как 3 недели или 3 месяца, столько событий, столько
But this morning, our agenda has been changed by the statement from Iran. And I can tell you that we knew this was about to happen, but we've accepted this information today because it once again means that there will be no more insinuations on whether our company has done anything wrong with safety of the flights. We have always been and always will be a safe company, a safe airline, a confident and safe airline with the most qualified personnel for all over Ukraine, with our own fleet and with our own technical center that is located here in Boryspil Airport. And we have all the needed capacities to provide for our main priority, which is the safety of the passengers and crew. During these 3 days, the crisis headquarters in our company has done a full-scale work. We have collaborated with the countries who had passengers at our aircraft. We have launched the corresponding headquarters in Canada. In Canada, we already have the headquarters for collaborating with the relatives of the people who were aboard this plane. In Iran, we have another headquarters that has been set out in the representatives of the Ukrainian International Airlines. We have a hotline working that currently works with the phone calls of all of the European passengers' relatives and Ukrainian passengers' relatives. There is a separate work that has been conducted by the company with the relatives of our crew. Still, I believe, understanding the new agenda, the upcoming news will still have to cover the questions that we have been asked many times now. Why our company continued flights to Tehran? Why our company hasn't stopped the flights to Iran? And I would like to state that you have to understand how it works. For us, the people of the civil aviation, that is quite clear for us, that is must follow for us, might not be clear for the general population. The flights of the civil aircrafts goes compliant to the permissions of the 2 countries. The country which is the destination of the flights and the airspace of this country is regulated by the state authorities, the aviation services and authorities of the corresponding destination countries, and the state aviation service of that country under the flag of which the company delivers the flight. At the moment, of the flight out from Boryspil Airport, we had no information on the possible threats for our flight, for our craft. The company didn't have. The company had none threats for that. Up till the moment of our flight taking off from Tehran, we had no information on any possible threats. And there was no specific notifications from the corresponding responsible authorities were not given to the company. For example, when there was another conflict taking place between India and Pakistan, the Pakistan side, the administration of the aviation transport of Pakistan has provided a notification on stopping the civil flights in their airspace. And all of the airlines of the world has complied to these obligations as it has to be done. There is the specifically created rules and norms of behavior if we speak of civil aviation, of how the airlines and companies should behave according to the specific threats. I also would like to use this broad international audience that we have today to once again, on behalf of the Ukrainian International Airlines, on my personal behalf, to once again express my deepest condolences to all of the passengers of the flight, to all of the relatives of the passengers of our flight PS752 all over the world. We have already started to establish contact with most of the relatives. We still want to contact all of that. So our deepest and sincere condolences for their loss. We are going through this deep sorrow together with the relatives of our passengers and the relatives of our crew, of our precious and dearest crew. I really want to support my words and the support of the order of the actions taken place by our company during the takeoff from Tehran Airport. And I would like to ask the Vice President of our company to comment upon that. Why do we need to do that? We need to do that because currently, even in the statement by Iran, there is a hint. There was a hint saying that our crew has been doing something independently or has been doing something not in the way they should have been behaving. And I would like to ask Igor, the Vice President of Ukrainian International Airlines, I would like to ask you to tell us what was happening in the skies about Tehran before the takeoff, during the takeoff and the flight, and after that. This is very important for us. Good day, Igor Sosnovsky, once again the Vice President on flights of the Ukrainian International Airlines. 27 years have been working in the UAE, and I'm responsible for flight operations for more than 20 years. I'm working in the Ukrainian International Airlines since the first day, and I'm really happy that our company has the great safety record starting from the November 1992. We're doing everything that is in our efforts, in our professional qualities, in social provisions for our people, and creating the team atmosphere that gives you the good opportunities to work and grow inside of the company. People say that the personnel, they make everything on the fly. They have a completely different important sense, especially if you're sitting in the cabin of the flight. So I want to once again to tell it to you. I want to once again to voice out the names of the people who have been in the cabin of the PS752. The pilot in command, Volodymyr Haponenko, 11,600 flight hours. Alexei Naumkin, 12,000 hours in sky. Serhiy Homanko, the second pilot of the flight, has 7,600 hours in flight. The flight attendants, Ekaterina Statnik, who has been working for MAU for 6 years, Valery Ovcharuk, 3 years and 8 months of experience, Igor Matkov, he has dedicated 11.5 years for the Ukrainian International Airlines. He has been through the competition to become the pilot of the company, and he should have started his pilot training this spring. Yulia Solohub, 1 year, 8 months. Maria Nikichuk, 2 year, 8 months of experience. And Denis Likhno, 1 year and 7 months of experience in working on the flights. I have just once again mentioned these numbers and the thousands of hours in the sky just for you to understand that these people have conducted 100 of takeoff and boarding throughout their years of the work. We have 5 times a week flights to Tehran every week. So there was nothing new for this flight at this very date. It was not a new task for the personnel and the crew of Ukrainian International Airlines. It has been the usual flight on the Tehran-Kiev route. The people came to the plane, they prepared the plane, they had the permission to launch the engines. They have taxied to the airline according to the dispatcher's permission. They went to connect it with the dispatcher tower, even though the Iran representative said that they were really clear and in a calm voice they have said that they would like to take off. They have been given the permission to take off and they followed according to the dispatcher's permission. In our current time of the information, it is even kind of dumb to try to hide something out. So if you will now take a look at the flight radar, you will see the specific place up to the second correction to every flight that you want to check out. And for all of us, we do not need the cockpit voice recorder or the flight radar data recorder that we're still waiting to take a look at. We still have the different negotiations with the air traffic control that our crew has done that can prove that our crew has done everything according to the rules. But with the help of the flight radar, we can show you everything that happened during the flight itself. So if I may, can I take your attention to take a look at a couple of the slides? This slide shows you the takes off at the airport of Tehran by different companies in the very day that we have taken off also. The blue line is for us. This is the Qatar flight that turned to the right. This is the flight, the KK. We will show you later on all of the flights that have been down throughout this day before our takeoff. So please pay your attention that the flight is directly at the line of the route, and this is the moment when they turn to the right, and this is the last moment of where we have seen the flight. This is the trajectory of all of the other planes who fly from the Tehran airport for that day. Can I have the next slide, please? This is basically for your information. This is the PS 752 from the 2nd of November to 8th of January. This is all of our flights, all of the flights that our aircraft has covered through since that moment. The red is the trajectory and the route for our plane. There was not a single deviation from the routes that some people might hint wasn't even close there. Can I have the next slide, please? Can we also show the altitude, please? This is the trajectory of our routes of our aircraft in the altitude profiles. You can see that once again in red, this is our flight PS 752 for the 8th of January. So please pay your attention that in order to create the slides, it's not a rocket science. This is the flight radar that you can open by yourself and you can clarify all of my words. Second vice. Another slide. So this is the schedule table for all of the flights that happened before our flights. If you will take a look at the numbers of the flights, the times of their departure, you can see that 2:42, 2:09 before us, there was the Qatar flights, 1:49, there was another company, so the airport was fully open, working in its full capacity by that time. And you can see this is the UTC time, so this is the UTC time just for you to understand the timing differences. There was was no prohibition on continuing the flights, not from Ukrainian administration, neither from Iranian administration, no times or notifications about the closure of the airport or launching any kind of missiles to any kind of sites or directions. Our pilots were not aware about it. There was no notifications for that. The airport has been continued in work in everyday way. So this is not the case of the civil aviation pilots to understand where Iran is launching its missiles. This is another table of all of the flights that have been conducted after us. There was like an hour and a half, hour and 38 minutes later, 2 Iranian companies have had their departures, and the airport continue working in their everyday routine as if nothing has happened. Thus, just to summing up all of this conversation, that I don't want to be very loud and bold in my declarations, but still I will have to say that. I would like to say that I stand together with the president of my country, of Mr. Zelensky, who wants the Iranian government to fully state of what has happened and to fully embrace of what has happened without having no conditions applied to that. With any explanation, they need to have the full responsibility for what has happened with our people and what has happened with that. Our people were professionals. They have the best professional qualities, and they were calm while performing their duties. And I would like to once again congratulate all of the people who currently work in our company, in our crisis headquarters, is working in order to try to find the best ways to mitigate all of this tragedy. But we have now more than 400 pilots, more than 1,000 of flight attendants, and around 40 flights and aircraft who are continuing to have the safety flights. Please have your faith in them. Thank you. Thank you, Ihor.